Today's message from Reverend Christian Sorensen was recorded December 4th, 2016, and the episode is titled, Let Life Love You. And today, we welcome back the spirit, talent, and voice of our special guest and musical artist, Carl Anthony, who can be found on Facebook or on his website from the links in the show notes. Come visit us at seasidecenter.org or join us in Encinitas, California sometime, where we always have great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving community that awaits you.
So, but besides India, someone just got back from Costa Rica, and when I was there with them, I sat on the beach. They took me to a different beach every single day. And so during that week, I wrote a song called Pura Vida, which is pure life. And because we literally went to a different beach every day. And the chorus goes, let's do nothing, absolutely nothing, and take all day to do it. So your part is this. You're going to go, that's pura vida, together.
That's pura vida.
I think they got it. The sun is warm, that's pura vida. When you thank the day you're born, that's pura vida. When the moon peeks out at night, that's pura vida. And the stars are shining bright, that's pura vida. Let's do nothing, absolutely nothing. Take all day to do it. When the sun is warm, that's pura vida. When you thank the day you're born, that's pura vida. Sitting on the Gold Coast, that's pura vida. With the ones you love the most, that's pura vida. Let's do nothing, absolutely nothing. Take all day to do it. Let's do nada, that's pura vida. La vida loca, that's pura vida. Certain pleasures, that's pura vida. Good friends, good life, that's pura vida. All right, you guys sing that. Here we go. That's pura vida. Sleep till the morning light, that's pura vida. And catch a wave just right, that's pura vida. It's a day without a care, that's pura vida. I only wish that you were there, that's pura vida. Let's do nothing, absolutely nothing. Take all day to do it. Come on, Bob. That's pura vida. Life's good, alright. That's pura vida. I need a day to unwrap. That's pura vida. I sure could use a morning nap. That's pura vida. Let's do nothing, absolutely nothing. Take all day to do it. Thank you.
Hey.
Reverend Christian.
Carl Anthony. How fabulous. Oh, my. What a song. Boy, puts us right back there. Pura Vita among holiday lights. It's not like usually what I think about, but that's exactly what's going on over there with the Feliz Navidad whole thing going on. But Pure Life, what a great, perfect song for today's message, which is let life love you. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's the allowing. It is the surrendering. It is letting life just love you. Are you up for that? You're open for that? That's good. Now, the key here is that life can love you like when you're in the sanctuary, when you're meditating, you're blissed out, you're sitting on that white sand beach. But can you let it love you in the midst of your challenges and the difficulties and the storms? Can you get that life is there in the thick of it? Because we got it. I mean, because we were there for Thanksgiving. And you may or may not have heard, probably not, but down there it was the news. Otto, the hurricane. Costa Rica has not been hit by a hurricane in 150 years of its weather history. It just doesn't come in from the Caribbean because it curves around, and it doesn't come in from the Pacific because it's too cold. So 150 years, no hurricane. And what did you know? Thanksgiving Day. We are sitting out there in the late afternoon for our late dinner or late lunch, early dinner, Thanksgiving, cutting up the turkey and having the bean casserole and all the goodies. And just as we are wrapping it up, the winds start to pick up. You know, it was the calm before the storm. It was gorgeous, blue skies. But then the winds start blowing and bring in a little bit of this rain and a little bit more rain. And so we go in and we check the internet, and we find that the eye of the hurricane is going to hit us 20 miles just north of us. And all of a sudden, here come the rains, and they start pounding, and the wind starts howling. And we get inside, and we just get ready to enjoy the Pura Vita life of a hurricane. You know, I can add it, you know, if it was on my bucket list, I have now had that experience. I'd always wanted to see a hurricane, but I knew better. I didn't stand in front of our big window pane glass because that's not smart. So we went outside instead. And you know, and there we go. The wind's blowing 70 miles an hour, sustained winds. And so the noise from a hurricane, we discovered, is very, very loud. And it is just hitting the house and hitting the house. Eventually, by 9 o'clock, we lose electricity. The place goes black. And it's like, oh, this is exciting. Now we get to bring out our candles we never get to use. You know, and Callie lights them, and poor Trevor, his side of the house is just on the hurricane side, and it is just rumbling and shaking. And so, you know, I lie down with him until he goes to sleep, and then I go in and protect my sweetheart. And then by 2:30, the lights come back on, and in the morning we wake up and it's gone. It's like blue skies, nothing happened, except the beach is littered now with driftwood. The tree next door came down, took out the corner of our neighbor's roof. You know, the road that leads into our house is a big fruit stand. A tree, literally, the roots the size of our car, the tree's thicker than I am, came down and took that out. The trees, big trees down, blocking bridges, pulling down electricity. It was like significant, but you know, it was kind of fun. I now can say I've done a hurricane. And that's the thing. Are you going to stress out when you're hit by the hurricanes, by the winds, or are you just going to allow life to love you? And that's really this morning's message. That can I let life love me? Because Ernest Holmes tells us that we're surrounded by spirit. It's everywhere, and you get to experience it as much as you let it in. You got that? That's our teaching here. As much as you are willing to let in, that means in the midst of your challenge, your difficulties, the struggles, and hurricanes, you can choose to let life love you and come on in and allow you to see the greater good, because the grace of God and the love of life is there to flow into your life no matter where you are, because it is omnipresent, which means everywhere, all the time. That is the way it works, and it's up to me to let it in. And as you do, you've got to be a good recipient. Because what I know about many people, and you guys, my goodness, is people are generous. People love to give. And it's the receiving that's the question. But I just want to honor you and thank you for your generosity with our pledge program. Remember, we ran this Wizard of Oz thing for 6 weeks, and then I left town. But this morning, Reverend Tammy gave me the numbers. Would you like to hear it, or do you want to just wait till next week? Yeah, okay. So I thought you'd say yes. But a couple years ago, we reached the highest ever in our pledges for the upcoming year, and that was $531,000. And as of this morning, I was given the numbers in terms of what was pledged to Seaside, and it's $542,722. And the number of families pledged the year that we were refinancing the place, so everybody who could hold a pen signed one. That was 256 individuals or families that signed a pledge. This year, at this point, we have 251. We're within 5 people. So if you haven't signed yours in, get it in. So by the end of the year, we can say, without a doubt, 2017 is going to be the best year ever for Seaside. Thanks to your generosity. It is amazing. And so I come back to the point I'm trying to make is what I know about you is you are generous, you are giving, but the flip side of that is you've got to be a good receiver. Okay, you've got to be able to receive the gifts of life. Let life love you, because I want so much from the depths of my being for you to be able to let love in, to experience the fullness of your life, the dynamic expression of your soul, to live your passion, your purpose, to experience the abundance, to have perfect health, to be in a juicy relationship, to just live that pura vida life doing what it is you love. But you've got to be willing to be deserving of that. You've got to have this sense of worthiness, so you might need to explore your beliefs a little bit and say, what's getting in the way of my worthiness that's keeping me from pura vida life? What is it that I need to look so I can recognize that I need to be a little bit more deserving here, that life doesn't really need to be, fought over to make things happen. It's like some people want to deal with life like they're a swashbuckler out on the gangplank, trying to keep the evil forces away from the doom and the hurricane. Just stay away. It's like you don't have to do it like that, really. I mean, you can. I mean, some people are into that. But I like what Shakespeare said. He said, there is a tide in the affairs of men that when taken at the flood, lead to fortune. There's a tide in the affairs of men that when taken at the flood will lead to fortune. There is a swell. There is a spirit. There is an uplifting. There is something that is moving. And if I'm willing to let life love me, if you're willing to allow life to love you, you can begin to be taken up in that wonderful uplift of spirit. But you've got to be willing to recognize that spirit shows up in ways you may not expect. Don't allow your success don't limit your success to your plan. Got that? The spirit is pretty smart. Life knows a few things. It guides the universe, the galaxies. Don't limit your success to your plans. Create the space so you can be a little bit more open to the gifts of spirit. And when there's a challenge or a storm or difficulty in your world, take it as an invitation to move to higher ground, to have a higher thought, to live a larger life, that there's something that is moving here that wants to express itself. But what religions tend to do, and I don't want to give religions a bad rap, it's kind of what I do, but the philosophy, we do philosophy. But really the majority of the world religions try to teach you how to influence God. Really? I mean, seriously. Have you ever really stopped to think, can I really influence God? I mean, can I coerce, bribe, beg, maybe pay him off? Pray and meditate to get that intelligence that guides the universe and the galaxies to do my bidding. So really? Have you thought about it like that? But yet, that's what the majority of the world religions do. They teach you to do it like this, to be like that. And now prayer and meditation and being in the flow is all important, but not because you are influencing God. What it is doing is moving you into alignment so you can become the place to allow Spirit to move you to a higher place, to that mountaintop view, to that place where you are able to live life with an ease and a grace and a pura vida kind of approach to living. That's the purpose of those kind of spiritual practices, not because I am influencing God. I mean, that's just an insult, actually, if you stop to think about that, like that. It's Spirit knows how to move in our life that is powerful. and can unfold in ways that will transform our very experience. But I've got to be willing to abide in that higher consciousness. And when I abide in the higher realms of spirit, then I receive the benefits. That's how it works. I'm not making spirit do anything. When I get there, then I receive the benefits, the healing, the transformations in my life. There's no way you can actually be separate from that. You cannot separate yourself from spirit. Even the drunk, lying in the street, is not separate from spirit. You got to choose to abide there and recognize that God's grace is sufficient. That's it. It doesn't say like God's going to pick up on my grace, or my sufficiency, right? It's like I'm sufficient for God. No. It goes the other way. God's grace is my sufficiency. I got to let life love me. I got to allow that spirit to be sufficient in my world, to rest in those ever-loving arms, and to allow that spirit to move. In Hebrews, it says, I will not abandon you or leave you. In Matthew, it says, I won't leave you even at the end of the world. And in the 93rd Psalm, it says, no matter where you go, you make your bed in hell, and I'm there. Spirit is everywhere. And so our work is to rise in consciousness to that higher place. That place that is above the struggle, above the scarcity, above the sickness, that is above the pain. I've got to do the work so I can go to that place, not because I'm trying to influence God to come down to my world to make the adjustments that I think so it'll fit into the package that I think it should be. Because I'll tell you what, your good's going to show up sometimes. And wonderful gifts. You ever get a wonderful gift in an unexpected wrapping? Yeah, me too. I like that. I like good surprises because I'm a good receiver. How about you? That's good, because I'll tell you, you got to let life love you so it can begin to unfold in ways. But I'll tell you what also religion does. It's like I'm giving it a bad rap today. But I don't mean to. It's just, like I said, we're a philosophy, we're a way of life, and it's a way of thinking. So, but what a lot of religions do is that they really fixate on what's wrong. Like you have trespassed. You have sinned. It is evil. It's like, and now you got punishment. And religions that fixate on punishment and sin and evil begin to fill your mind and obscure your thinking. So how can you be receptive to that flow of grace? How can you let life love you if your mind is filled with the sin and the punishment and all those kind of things? Religions, I believe its purpose is to lead you to have an experience of the love of God. Its purpose is to allow you to know God as love, not to get all caught up in this kind of stuff, to know that God or life is a forgiving, understanding, compassionate expression that is assisting you to rise up to that mountain so you can do your work in those realms that are above that place of struggle and difficulty. And when you go to a spiritual community or a church, but we always call Seaside Spiritual Center, right? We don't use church anymore. We use spiritual center. But if you go to a church or a mosque or a temple or a synagogue or a sweat lodge or you walk on the beach, the purpose is to be able to leave there feeling better, right? And if you're not feeling better after your walk on the beach or you're hanging out with spirit in a so-called holy spot, I'd think twice about spending too much time there. And if somebody's making you feel bad because you are learning and growing, know that you are welcome in a spiritual community without judgment that cares and loves you on your spiritual path, and it encourages you to allow life to love you. And I get some people just do struggle. You know anybody like that? They know how to make anything difficult. They call you on the phone, and their voice message, rather than being, 10, 20 seconds, is like 5 minutes. And the details are important for rocket scientists. They got their place. I've got no qualms with people who are detail-oriented like that, but you don't need to download it on everything. It's like they turned a whole life into a boot camp. Struggle. No. If struggle was the way, we'd all be in ecstasy by now. But you know what? It doesn't seem to be the way. It's, William James, the father of modern psychology, said that design your destiny on a higher power, Design your destiny. Allow yourself to be moved by a higher power, something that is able to see that it more than what it is that you see, and that you don't have to buy into struggle, but you've taken it, as I said, as an invitation to be able to move in life with an ease and a grace and a greater self-expression, and that you can move forward with a deep kind of knowingness. And so when you go and knock on the door of spirit or on life, I love what Henry David Thoreau says. When you knock on the door, ask for God and not his servants. Yeah? How many of us, want, whatever that stuff is, or, want to hook with the guru or the saint or the intermediary or the minister. I like all those guys or women. I mean, that's good. I'm all for those goddesses and gods. But you know what? What I want us to do is to heal that sense of separation. And it doesn't matter what mistakes you may have made on your path, you still cannot be separated from the omnipresence. No matter what it is that you have done, no matter what you have done, you are still in the full presence and the opportunity for God. There's nothing more you can do to get Spirit to open up the grip and let the good out. It's already been given. You've got to allow life to love you and give up your self-judgment and your self-critique and your sense of lack of worthiness, and know that I am deserving to experience the wonderful flow. And when I come to know that and I knock on the door is going to open, boom, like a sliding glass door at a grocery store or at a department store. You know how that works? You get real close and boom, it opens. You guys aren't too impressed. You take it for granted. I got to tell you, I just got back from Costa Rica. That doesn't happen. You got to open doors yourself, and you hope they're unlocked. You can't even figure, does that mean push or does it mean pull? And you say, no, it's the other one. And then you hope there's stuff inside once you get in there. And these electric doors, though, they got the sensor. You get close, and it's like, boom, here it all is for you. Well, that's the thing. When you enter into the kingdom, when you enter into life, say, here you go. It's done unto you as you believe. Let life love you. Ernest says, as much as you can embody, as much as you can accept, as much as you can embrace, that's how much you can have. Right? The door is opened for you. You're dealing in this one mind, this consciousness. Wonderful story that Ram Dass shares from his book that, I don't know if it made him famous, but it definitely was the one that launched him on his particular guru status. And he shares his story of the Maharishi in Be Here Now. You got that book, right? Doesn't fit on your shelf. It's too big. It's strange paper. Kind of cool. But he shares the story of having met the Maharishi, and the Maharishi really showing him the power of love and wisdom and compassion, and how his life changed. And he was so excited to come back, and Maharishi said, and whatever you do, don't share it with anybody. Which is a great marketing ploy. So don't tell anybody about Seaside, right? Anyway, so I'm sure Maharishi knew what he was doing, because in his exuberance, he told the world, he wrote his book, and there's some people wanting to go back to India with him, like Carl. And Ram Dass took 23 people back on this trip, and they wanted to see the Maharishi, but the Maharishi was not at a particular ashram on a particular date. It's not like Seaside where you can look at the calendar and say, oh, Christian's going to be here, Krishna Das. No, Maharishi goes where he wants to go, when he wants to go, and doesn't tell anybody about it in advance. I'm so moved to go here. So you don't know where you're going to find him. You don't know if you're ever going to see him. And if the fate has it, you may bump into him in some temple. So anyway, but Ram Dass took his people to India because it's a cool thing to go to India. And they were there, and it was a big celebration, Kala Mela. I don't know what it is, but they say hundreds of millions of people in India celebrate this high holy holiday. And it ended, and the people wanted to go to the fairgrounds where it was because they were going into town to get some food because they were hungry. They hired a private bus driver, and so they went ahead, got on the bus, and they pulled into the fairgrounds to check it out, and they got out of the bus, and who would be walking through the grounds was the Maharishi. And they all just unloaded, oh, Maharishi. He says, oh, just come with me to my place, And they went to his place, and as they entered in, the woman whose house it was invited them in for lunch, and seated probably on the ground, there were place settings for 25 people, and that included the bus driver, the exact number of people. And they asked the lady of the house, so how'd you know there were going to be 25 people here? She said, Maharishi woke up at 6 o'clock this morning and said to prepare lunch for 25 people. And it's like, wow, it's right. But when you're dealing in that realm of consciousness, it's like, of course, the Maharishi or other individuals who play at that realm of cohesiveness, of coherence, of connectedness. It's like, anybody can do that. Wake up this morning, I don't know who's coming, but 25 spots we need for lunch. Spirit, I love life, and I'm going to let Spirit show up in my world. I'm going to surrender to that. We've got to surrender. Remember we did the Wizard of Oz. Yeah? We touched on it. I still got the analogies going through I'll get off of it soon. But so I love the one where, it's in the sky, the wicked witch writes, surrender, Dorothy. And I'm sure she was coming from her gnarly green ego when she wrote that. But I'll tell you, if you take it a little bit deeper, the spiritual message that says, surrender, Dorothy, surrender, Dorothy, to that innate intelligence that is inside your being that is going to guide you through this ordeal. Surrender, Dorothy, to that courage or to that intelligence or to that wisdom. Dorothy, surrender your battle and your swashbuckling to that something that knows how to get you through that. And it doesn't matter if it is some green wicked witch or some wacky monkey army or some fake wizard. Your good is not dependent upon what is out there. Your good is dependent upon letting life love you, getting your small-mindedness out of the way that says, I'm not worthy, and recognize that I am deserving. And if I was to go outside, they would be in the sky right now. Surrender, Christian, to your love, to the higher intelligence, to the wisdom, to the movement of God. What in your life are you struggling with? And know that it says, surrender. Put your name in there. Hey, that's right. And you begin to be that place. That it can show up with an ease, right? And a grace. I'm big on ease and grace. The struggle thing is not my dharma, thank goodness. But as I said, some people can make anything into a struggle. But ease, that's when you let life love you. Ease is like a secret. And not because it's hidden. It's just because nobody believes it. I think I got to work really hard. And usually people are working really hard at what they don't even like doing. It's like, why do you try to get good at something you don't like doing? Get yourself into that place where all of a sudden there's an ease, and it doesn't mean you don't put in a lot of hours and a lot of your time and effort. But there's a saying that said, oh boy, I'm losing it. Come back here. Oh, that's it. Okay. That says, like, you put in a lot of hours. It's like a labor of love. You hear that? So, but it said that, that which is a labor of love is no labor at all. That's right. So here's Rebecca. She got in, I shouldn't tell him, but she didn't get to bed till 4:30 this morning. And somehow is here by 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how, but never complains, and that's give it up. And then she's got 2 more gigs this afternoon tonight. So, I mean, that's just, so we're blessed. But I got to let you know that those great artists and those crafts people, you know, they master their skill and their craft by honing their fine art, but it's their joy. They get in the flow. It is a movement. They let life use them. They allow life to move through them. They surrender, like Dorothy, to whatever is before them, whether it is a hurricane or whether it is a clear white beach. There is just something that knows how to express itself in their life. And when you choose to move to that higher place and allow your work to take you above the realm of struggle and difficulty, but it doesn't mean you are lazy or you acquiesce putting in those amount of hours. It is your joy, it is your love, it is your passion, it is your dharma, and all of a sudden you begin to abide in that presence through your daily activities of what it is you are loving. And as you begin to abide in that place, you begin to make yourself receptive to Spirit. And once again, I come back to, we're not influencing Spirit saying, hey God, I'm exhausted here. When I choose to abide in that presence, what it does is it shows up as energy. When you go to God to get something, you're coming from a place of not having. But if all of a sudden you've got something that is missing within your world, and you go to God to just sit on the mountaintop in that love and that divine realization of the joy and the abundance and the flow, the wisdom, the courage, what happens is Spirit fills in the void. Spirit shows up, and if you are struggling with scarcity, all of a sudden there's abundance. Your meals are happening. The fluent flow of God is taking place as your very experience right there, not because I'm worrying, but because that is how it interprets itself. I've watched people go to God for God, and one person will have the lumps inside their body just disappear. I watched another goes to God, not trying to get God to heal a broken bone, and amazingly swiftness, that bone goes back together. I've watched broken hearts mended. I've watched abundance flow just because people have gone to God to be in that divine presence, to let life love them, and it interprets itself in those places of our needs, not because I'm asking or trying to influence, but because it's so. Wonderful passage from Matthew. Luke too, actually Jesus said it, and that is, don't worry about your life. You know, what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, nor about your body or what you're going to put on it. You know, consider the birds of the air. God, the Heavenly Father, feeds them, and are you not as valuable as they? Why, who, by being anxious, can add 1 hour to the span of their life? Consider the lilies of the field. They toil or spin not. Yet Solomon in all of his glory is not arrayed like one of them. Let life love you. And when you're moving in that place of love, you'll feel the presence. You know, the world in a place of judgment, oftentimes, but yet love honors. The world gets critical, but love blesses. You know? The world sits sometimes with a very harsh perspective, but love lets you see the beauty, even in the midst of a hurricane, even in the midst of challenge, even on the white sand beaches, where you're sitting in a beautiful community. Even if you came here and your log had lost its flame, leaving here today, I trust we've honored that philosophy that you should leave more charged, more energized, and more in love with God as you. God bless you. Let life love you.
Hello, this is Christian, and if you've been enjoying Joyous Podcasts, I encourage you to support us so we can continue to be here. Your gifts is what allows this to continue to be made available for free for everyone. It now goes to more than 55 countries around the world, and it's because you have taken advantage of the opportunity to go to Joyous Podcasts and make a financial contribution. And because of that, you have made a difference. Your gifts make it possible for us to continue sharing this freely. Share this with your friends and have them go to joyouspodcast.com. Joyous blessings to you.